You're listening to the PRO Media Network, the next level in entertainment.
Go Tigers, 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 go Tigers.
You're now listening to Tuff Tiger Talk with Big Q and the guys on the Pro Media Network.
What's going on, fam? You're now rocking with Tuff Tiger Talk on the PRO Media Network. Welcome aboard, family, after a great victory. What up, Smoke? How about them Tigers, man? We did it, baby. It's going to be the same thing with the Saints, you best believe it, though. Big Smoke says, wonder where they rank now. With Georgia losing. We're going to cover that today, Smoke. Tough Tiger Talk coming at you. This is LSU versus Florida recap. 42-28, knocking off the Gators. And you know, down here we like eating alligators. We definitely ate it. Some gator, man, in the swamp, no doubt about it. Gonna cover that. We'll talk about the BCS rankings and where they'll place LSU. We'll talk about that. We have interviews from Coach O and Joey B as they talk about the post-game thoughts on what a major win it was indeed, and a little revenge. Definitely a lot of revenge to pay those Gators back what they did last year. Well, anyway, let's get it going in Tough Tiger Talk. We'll bring in our guest contributor, Mazzi Five, man. He's a big-time LSU contributor and pro on the subject of all things LSU. Mazzi, how you doing today, fam?
Shit, I'm doing all right now. I'm doing all right. It was rough. We looked a little dazed out there. I guess because of the opponent, but I mean we got over it. So I mean that's all. I guess that's all I could expect, you know.
Oh well, I tell you one thing, man. It was nip and tuck for a minute. It was score for score, but ultimately in the end, LSU was able to pull it out, man. At the end, had some great plays. Stingley Jr. put up a pretty good play toward the end, and LSU starts separating. They created the separation to kind of break away and ultimately seal up the game and move forward. So let's get into some of the statistics there, Mazzi, before we hit them with Coach Orgeron's interview. And if you look at some of the team statistics, let's do the team statistics first. Man, looking at the team statistics with LSU, it was actually pretty good. First downs, LSU were actually a little bit less first down, 22-28 of advantage Florida. 511 total yards by the LSU's offense versus 457 by the Gators. 21-24 was the completion attempts. The Gators had 24-44. Look at this. This is a really compelling stat as well, Mazzi. Averaging 12.2 yards per pass was Joey B in this one. Very excellent versus what the Gators were doing with 7.1. They had a quarterback by committee approach. I don't know if that was a work to their benefit. It kind of stalled the offense at points. So Mullins looked like to me he overthought himself on this one. He should have went with Trask, who's the one riding him through these games, but mixing that other quarterback in there. It looked like it might have kind of affected their rhythm in my estimation. 218 total yards by the LSU. They eclipsed 200 yards, plus 200 yards in this one, 146 rushing by the Gators. And 24 attempts. So they breached 200 yards, over 200 yards on 24 attempts. Do you not understand how many yards that is per rush? That's almost 10 yards per rush. Actually, it's 9.1. So every time they ran the ball, they almost got a first down. In one, it's crazy. 4 penalties for 28 yards versus 5 penalties for the Gators for 39. 1 turnover, of course, in the game. And then you have the possession battle, which it didn't make much difference because the Gators held the ball for over 38 minutes versus LSU 21-41 versus the Gators 38-19. So all those statistical barriers, we talk about holding the time of possession battle, all this kind of stuff, didn't mean a hill of junk as LSU was able to beat this team by 14. Before we get into the individual statistics, Mazzi will chime in. Before he chimes in, let's hear what Coach O had to say about the Gators getting this win. Here's Coach O.
I want to thank our fans for being the best. That's the best stadium I've ever seen, man. At the end, it was wonderful to be the head coach at LSU and watch my team in victory and see the fans so happy. What a big night for the Tigers. What can we say about offense? 511 yards, 42 points, no turnovers. The biggest stat of the night, no sacks. Credit to James Craig, the offensive line. They work very hard. I drove scrambles sometimes. What a great job by offense again. What a great job by defense, only allowing 7 points in the second half. Tremendous adjustments by Coach Aranda and the staff. Our guys kept playing. We put more pressure on them. We blitzed. They made plays. We made plays. I really think our guys emptied the tank tonight. Everything it took to beat this football team. It's a good football team that we beat, and those guys are some good coaches on the other side. But a great night for the Tigers. I do believe the winning edge was playing in Tiger Stadium. Any questions? Started blitzing, playing man coverage, and we had to put some heat on the quarterback. We had some four-man rushes, but more or less it was some blitzes and play man free.
What can you say about the play Stingley made, the interception, after getting targeted all night?
Yeah, big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games. He's got it. Now, he gave up some balls, and he gave up some balls. That number 84 was a tremendous football player, one of the best players we've seen all year. Give them credit, but we made the play when we had to.
Were you surprised they went at him so much?
Yeah, it's the first time it went after him. Some back shoulder routes and all, and they had some good routes against tight man coverage. Give them some credit. They made some plays, but he made the play at the end, was counting.
Did you believe with this team, you talked about finding the grit in this team?
Yeah.
The offense answers every time, the defense battles for the second half.
Yeah, it was there. It was there. I'll tell you, the crowd helped. When we made that stop and we started to get some pressure on the quarterback, our crowd came alive. And our guys got juiced on the sideline. I told Joe, man, this is what great quarterbacks are made of. We go down there and score. What a throw down the sideline. What a game Jamar Chase had. Just fantastic offense again.
Did you take a play from Marcel Brooks?
Yeah. Yeah. We put him in a dime cheater package. We wanted to put more speed on the field. We ran a little stunt inside. He had a great sack. Marcel is a very talented young man. Has a good spirit about him.
Speaking of Marcel, you had three true freshmen make big plays.
Yeah.
Marcel,
Yeah. Yeah.
At what point do you realize that they're ready to play?
I do believe when you go back to recruiting, these guys are developed. Most of these guys have been to our camps. We know a lot about them. Stingley being a mid-year graduate really helps. I was going to a spring ball, and our coaches do a good job of developing those guys and getting them ready. They like veterans already, in my opinion.
Coach O, man, thoughts on the game? Big time thoughts by Coach O as he chime in, basically referencing some of the really key things, the Mike Stingley interception and the things that he hit. They were definitely testing this guy, and this guy showed up in a major capacity. So, I mean, man, wow. Very entertaining game. Very, very, ultimately, I knew it was going to be a good game. Joey Burrow finished 21 of 24, man. 21 of 24. Only let 3 passes go awry. 293 yards for Joey B. Averaged 12.2 yards every time he threw the ball. 3 touchdowns in the matchup. 96.2 QB rating for Joey B in this one. The major play of the LSU's offensive game was in full display, especially in the running game. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I call him Baby Ingram. 13 carries, 134 yards. This man averaged 10.3 yards a carry, had 2 touchdowns, and basically bust the game open in key moments for LSU. Had a 57-yard scamper for a TD. Joey Burrow was the second leading rusher. He had 6 rushes for 43 yards and 7.2 average there. And Tyron Davis-Price had a nice little run, 3 carries for 40 yards and a touchdown where he broke 133 yards and went up the field. Now, John Emery Jr., one of my favorite little running backs behind Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Tyron Davis-Price, was quiet. He was 1 carry for only 2 yards in this one. Big time and big ups to both the LSU wide receivers, Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. They were just explosive in this game. 10 catches for 123 yards and 1 score for Justin Jefferson. Jamar Chase had 7 catches for 127 yards and 2 scores for them. Even Thaddeus Moss got into it, 3 catches for 38 yards and what was an excellent game for the wide receiver offense. Before going into the defensive stats and getting into Joe Burrow's interview. Mazzi Five, what are your thoughts, man, on Coach O, what he was saying, and then of course LSU's offense to still press on despite Florida Gators supposed to be reckless and dangerous defense?
Well, again, as I look at the stats game, I thought at times I got kind of lost in it, and I didn't really get in until after I broke it down and got into the stats of it, and I realized we had 218 rushing yards, which obviously makes the game go a lot longer. And I mean it's probably just what I'm used to seeing out of LSU this year because everything's been pass, extremely dominant. But I mean again, this performance, 21-24 with a QBR of 96.2 for Joey Beast, 293 yards, just 7 yards shy of another 300-yard game, a game of 12.2 averaging, man, with 3 touchdowns. He was also the second leading rusher with 43 yards. Now, I can't say enough about Hilaire and that 10.3 yards per carry, man, along with 2 touchdowns. But when you actually break it down, we also had Jamal Chase and Justin Jefferson almost mirror images of each other, 127 and 123 yards respectively, averaging 18.1 and 12.3. They contributed to 3 more touchdowns. But when you look at it from the defensive side of the ball, man, I know we can't touch. We're gonna get on that later, but I mean, you had 68 tackles, so the bodies were flying all over the field. You also had two sacks compared to Florida's none. With that kind of protection, man, we forced an interception. Kick return, we were able to get 20 yards of kick return. Florida didn't get any of those. Punt return yards, didn't get any of those. So I mean, when you look at it, in every statistical category, we were dominant. I think the one thing that hurt us, well, not hurt us, but the one thing that made the game even remotely as close as it was a couple of, and we've got to address this, especially circling our calendar, looking at that Alabama game. We have got to address these third down giveaways. It's like a contest or whatever. It could be third and 3 or third and forever. It doesn't matter. We gotta get those guys off the field. It was 2 or 3 key third downs that were 7 yards or greater, 8 yards or greater last night that we allowed them to convert. And, we had been stingy the entire drive and allowed them to convert these third downs that eventually led to 1 or 2 of these scores. Outside of that, man, this would have been yet another blowout. Florida should have put up nothing more than 21 points at the maximum or less. LSU, the 42 was a good outing. I know I had selected them to put up about 35. I thought Florida would be a little bit more stingy on defense than they were. And Florida is definitely, that number is skewed because that wasn't an all-around situation. That was a couple third downs that we let get away from us defensively. Again, that we have to fix. But outside of that, man, 68 tackles, 48 solo tackles, which means we were, bodies flying all over the field and guys were making plays without assisted help. Moving forward, that's going to be a really important factor to watch because we know Joey B is going to get it done. Almost 300 yards on arguably the top 10 defense in the country. I'll take that any day. I honestly expected them to have a little less than that and thought they would rely more heavily on the run. But, I mean, it was pretty well distributed with 293 yards passing and 218 yards rushing. It was a really balanced game. We got to get those other issues fixed, and I think that would be fun.
Joe Morgan, man, has been a real blessing to the LSU offense coming in as a passing game coordinator, understudy of Sean Payton Institute, and he's a 30-year-old comfortable with Joey Burrow to the point where Burrow's explained his success as a quarterback in high school and the things that he was comfortable with doing. Operating offense from a shotgun gives him the ability to be able to find open targets. And then, of course, it's the LSU's running like a spread type offense where they have wide receivers spread all over the place and he can just pick and choose where he wants to go with the ball, helps the offensive line. Then it's comparable. LSU always has a power running game to add to that throwing factor. So they're a very dangerous team and comfortable with doing what they're doing all over the field. And speaking of which, here's Joey Burrow to explain to you his thoughts on beating Florida. Here's Joey B.
Last year, they kind of got after us up front, and they kind of took that personal. And I was so proud of those guys. They had a great week of practice. I could lie to you and say I expected zero. I mean, there was no pressure the entire night. I didn't feel pressured a single time, let alone the sacks. I made a couple bad protection calls, which might have been the only reason that I had ever been pressured tonight. But, I mean, hats off to those guys. I'm so proud of them.
Joe, Coach just said before that last touchdown drive, the long pass, he told you this is what great quarterbacks are made of. Talk about that last drive. You put the pedal to the metal and not played the circle.
I mean, we were disappointed in ourselves. We had a shot. We were inside the 50, and on fourth down, we had a penalty. It moved us back, so we had to punt. We wanted to put the game away right there. But they had been pressing Jamar in the slot all night. Coach Steve made a great call. A little pick play with Jamar and Clyde outside, and it was wide open for a touchdown.
When you guys were down a touchdown in the second half, what was kind of your role in that? How did y'all kind of treat that moment?
I mean, there was no panic. We knew that we felt like, we had been executing all night, and we felt like we could go down and score. And that just really shows the toughness of our team. We faced adversity tonight, and we powered through it.
It's not often that four guys catch a ball in the night, catch a pass, but Jamar and Justin obviously have huge nights. Their consistency this year, how key is that here? I mean, their progression has been unreal to see. I think they're both over 100 yards tonight, and nobody could really stop them all night. I mean, I'm really excited about where we're going. We have a chance to be really special.
Joey Burrow, very excited about what's going on with LSU, and he's excited where they're headed. And I am quite excited. Most of the Tiger Nation is as well, man. Seeing this out of the 126-year history of the LSU Fighting Tigers, they've never had an offense like this. Never. Never, never, never. A lot of people didn't see this coming. Most of the fan base didn't see this coming. But, man, it's still an exciting thing to watch, to behold Joey Burrow. Also, a really important thing he said during that interview is the fact that he didn't feel any pressure. And if he felt pressure, it's because he had several bad protection calls, which he was able to scamper out of. Remember, like I said, the statistics indicated that Joey was the second leading rusher on the team. So, I mean, what can I tell you about that, man? Going LSU defensive side with the stats, Grant Delpit finished the game with 8 tackles. Big ups to Grant Delpit in this game. He was a beast in this game, laying the smackdown on the quarterback. I mean, Delpit's awesome. He also had 2 pass defense. Clavion Chasen had 8 tackles in the game and a sack, 3 tackles for a loss. He was big. Patrick Queen had 8 tackles in the matchup. Jacoby Stevens, he had 7 tackles and 2 pass breakups. Derek Stingley Jr. had 6 tackles and a pass breakup and that really good interception we talked about toward the end of the game. Christian Fulton, 4 tackles, 1 PD. Jacob Phillips, 4 tackles as well, had a QB hurry. Neil Farrell Jr. had 4 tackles in the game as well. Tyler Shelvin had 3 tackles, and then several players, including Michael Divinity Jr., Glenn Logan, Kerry Vincent Jr., Damone Clark, and Sataki Urka all had 2 tackles. Brendan Vahoko also had a couple of tackles in this game as well. So, Mazzi, are you still with us, man? I'm thinking a lot of this, like we talked about earlier, the defense of LSU was on the field a little longer than what I wanted them to be, but ultimately, they made the stops when needed to kind of shut this whole thing down. Now, let's move into our BCS talk right now. Obviously, we had a pleasant surprise early in today as LSU was put on, the power rankings. The ESPN has its own power ranking system, college football power rankings. And they've placed LSU as number 1. Of course, it's not the BCS, but LSU is on top of ESPN's power ranking and flanked by Ohio State and then Alabama as they are 6-0. And their commentary on that is, here's the ESPN's power ranking after week 7. The Tigers have made a strong case for number 1 by knocking off Florida 42-28 at home. Coupled with a win at Texas and Open, LSU might have the most impressive pair of wins by any FBS team in the first half of the season. It was another big victory for LSU. Coach Orgeron His teams have 7 wins over AP, top 10 opponents since 2016. Only Nick Saban and Urban Meyer had more, 9 with each of those guys. LSU's offense continued to roll against Florida's well-respected defense. Coach Joey Burrow completed 21 of 24 for 293 and 3 touchdowns, and tailback Clyde Edwards, Fresh Prince of Hell-Air, a.k.a. Baby Ingram, ran 13 times for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Tigers had 2 100-yard wide receivers in Chase, who caught 7 for 127 and 2 touchdowns, and Justin Jefferson, who had 10 receptions for 123 yards with 1 score. I don't want Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. Am I premature in saying Odell Beckham and somebody else, Landry, perhaps? Might be a little premature in that. Mazzi, are you still with us?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, what do you think about ESPN's power ranking, and the BCS power ranking has not, well, usually comes out this afternoon. What do you think it'll look like with LSU's up there?
Well, the BCS ranking won't be up upon us for another 2 weeks. Week 8, I believe. Or maybe next week. The next week or the week after. Either way, as far as the power rankings, I think the power rankings nailed it. I don't think the coaches poll is going to reflect the same thing. For the simple fact, for whatever reason, much like they do with the Saints, but it's not well respected or well received on a national level. I mean, if you look at it, Alabama just played their first ranked opponent last week, yesterday, and that was in Texas, number 24, Texas A&M. I mean, that's not to take anything away from Alabama, but I mean, let's look at it and see who they played so far. Florida State, Fresno State, Colorado State, Vandy, Ole Miss, and obviously yesterday with A&M. A&M being a ranked team as of yesterday, which I believe they'll drop out of the poll after yesterday's loss. Clemson, I mean, honestly, has had at least 2 ranked opponents that they played in A&M at the time was number 28-5 or 24, and they also beat Auburn, number 10 team at the time. They beat them 14-6, so that was a grunge match. If you look at it, obviously, Florida had their way with Auburn last week, and LSU had their way with Florida. So I mean, looking at it, I think that they're going off a lot of past jargon with these teams. Even if you look at Ohio State, I mean, gee whiz, they don't play anybody. Ohio State hasn't played a ranked opponent this year. And we look at, Florida Atlantic, Cincinnati, they declared number 25 Cincinnati. I don't believe they were ranked at the time. Indiana, Miami of Ohio, Nebraska, Michigan State, which is probably their toughest outing at 34-10. So, I mean, and this is, this is the number 3 team in the country, the number 4 team in the country. They were tied for 3rd with Georgia. So, I mean, I guess LSU was already number 4 with Ohio State and Georgia being tied. Georgia is now out. So, I mean, LSU will definitely make the move to number 4. Nobody will leapfrog them. But, I mean, I think it's time for LSU to at least leapfrog Ohio State and possibly Clemson to be number 1 and number 2, respectively Alabama and LSU. And that's only because Alabama plays in the SEC. I'm a staunch SEC fanboy. So, anything outside of the SEC, I really don't see it. Besides maybe the Pac-10 of 12 years ago, possibly the Big 12, just because of the number of 5-star recruits they receive. But Big East and ACC teams and Big 10 teams, and I don't see any of those guys. I just don't. I'm just being honest with you. They don't play anybody. So even the wins that they get over bigger, tougher opponents, either in the playoffs or in, Clemson with the bowl games, you got to realize Alabama has played LSU. Alabama has played in the SEC championship against a Georgia or Florida. I mean, they played some really tough games throughout, the season. And then, we get to the end and Clemson beats them. But, how fresh is Clemson playing pretty much nobody the whole season? They get to the playoffs because, the media's are fanboys of some of these weaker teams, and then they go in and beat LSU. Beat Alabama. There has no game film on these people, or not a limited game film on these people, because it changes the atmosphere, changes year to year. And these people are super fresh going into that game because they haven't played anybody all year. That's just my take on it.
All right. Well, I know you're not a fan of Clemson. I know that for certain. But I got to agree with you with the fact that I think LSU definitely is probably a respectable move. Would probably boost LSU up to number 4, despite you seeing Georgia fall. So that's what I think. LSU will probably go as high as 4, which is where they were prior before they slid them down during that first bye week, in which they didn't play, but they slid down one spot to. And
until I penalized, they would have never done it to Alabama or Clemson. They would have never lost a spot. No, but they didn't play.
That's right. I think, a lot of it's that you're absolutely right. They're not really respecting LSU. They're not respecting who LSU is and what they do. Alabama has earned that with titles. Clemson has earned that with titles. And I think people tend to give them the way. Oklahoma's been a team that's been lurking about and up there as well. So these are well-respected teams. But, yes, LSU is not getting the respect most of those teams are not getting, and I think because LSU doesn't have the hardware. So we got to make them understand by beating them and showing these teams ultimately in the end. And the poll makers, which I still am against this. I'm against this foolish poll system. I think it should be a playoff system more than just 4 games, but ultimately they're trending in the right direction. But in the end, LSU has to continue to beat the teams that matter to these people to shut them up, and easily you'll pick them up any kind of way. So that's just some of my thinking on it in this matchup. Moving ahead with LSU now, man, and it just like I said, I got to give big credit to Joy Burrow. He continues to shine against quality teams as well. With this move, LSU's now 6-0. They're 2-0 in conference play. They're still number 2. They're tied with Alabama in the West, who are 6-0, who won yesterday as well, who are 3-0 in conference play. So LSU's riding behind them for right now. And as the loss knocks Florida down into 6-1, they fall to second place behind Missouri, who's 5-1 and 2-0 in conference play. So Missouri right now is actually stepping up as well. Next foe coming up for LSU is Mississippi State. So we have a matchup where we travel up to Starkville to play the Mississippi State Bulldogs. That's the next matchup on the 19th. Of course, the Tigers take that high flying attack into Starkville, and the Mississippi State Bulldogs are 3-3 and 1-2 in conference play, so they're struggling a bit. But they're still a team you have to watch out for. Garrett Schrader is the quarterback. He has 45 of 78, 3 touchdowns and 2 picks on 590 yards of passing. So that's what it is so far with them. And you look at the running back, top backs for them is Kalen Hill, 119 carries for 609 yards. He has 5 touchdowns. He's a bell cow for that offense in many regards. And then their top wide receiver threat is Osiris Mitchell, 24 catches, 335 yards, and 4 scores for him. At Mississippi State averaging just under 27 yards a game while giving up 27 yards a game. That's what it definitely would explain why they 500. Tigers, of course, undefeated coming into this matchup. Top scoring offense in the country, 52.5 a game while allowing 21.2. They averaging 561 yards per game. Another tops in the country. Big day for big stats for the Tigers. Throwing the ball 395.5 yards per game, rushing 165.5 yards per game, and looking at Mississippi State 184.2 throwing the ball, 192 rushing. So they almost rushed 200 yards a game. Got to shut that down. Total yards 376.2. Now looking at the defenses, LSU's giving up 316 yards a game, 224 through the air, and less than 92 yards on the ground. They hold you to. The Mississippi State Bulldogs average 394 yards per game while giving up 231 through the air and 163 on the ground. Mississippi State coming off of 2 losses in a row, losing to Tennessee 20-10, and then number 7 Auburn at the time 56-23, while LSU is continuing to roll. So quick takes on this one. Who do you think gets this as we preview the Mississippi State LSU matchup? Mazzi, what do you think about this one?
Well, I think LSU will cruise through this one. I'm looking at it being 45-10. It would be my predictions on that game. But you got to watch it. I mean, we just saw what the last sub-500 team did to Georgia yesterday. So it is a classic trap game, especially coming off of an intensive win like you just had yesterday. So you got to be careful. You got to watch it. You got to watch for the hook, especially looking at Auburn the next week, and then obviously on the 9th you have Alabama. So LSU needs to be careful to not overlook Mississippi State, worrying about Auburn on the 26th and then Alabama on the 9th. Because if you overlook those teams, it can come back to bite you.
That's true. I mean, you're right, and this is the classic trap game. If you look at any, the definition of what a trap game is, classic trap game is this Mississippi State matchup. So I think LSU is disciplined and determined and pissed off enough to understand what they're dealing with and not give up the ghost, so to speak, against Mississippi State. Classic trap game. If you in Mississippi State looking to try to get a little start or a spark by knocking off LSU. We can't allow this to happen. We got to finish against these teams. We had flubs last year against teams like Florida and toward the end of the season, Texas A&M. We can't allow this to happen. We got to put Mississippi State to rest and in the bed like we usually do. We got to knock these teams off we know we're supposed to beat to avoid those foolish slippages that most teams do. Stand focused, stand determined, and I think Coach O, man, will do that. The way Coach O's been just going through things and his thought process in this season, he's taking it for real. Remember last year, a lot of people wasn't expecting a lot out of LSU. 2 more wins and they would have been playing for a championship. This year, he was talking about this year's recruiting staff contributing to what they had from last year, and you can see the end results of that. So at the end of the day, LSU's coming into this one, 395.5 yardage per game, throwing the ball, that's second in the country, and they points 52.1, it's number 1 in the nation. Rushing, averaging 165.5 a game, is good for 68th in the nation. Of course, Joey Burrow, 2,157 yards on the season with 25 touchdowns and a blissful QBR rating of 93.0. Clyde Edwards-Helaire in this one, 78 carries, 7 touchdowns on the year, 490. I mean, just absolute 78 carries for 494 yards for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's getting it going. And the top receiver for LSU is Justin Jefferson. He has 40 catches thus far in the season. 40 catches for Justin Jefferson with 8 touchdowns, 670 yards. This is pro stuff, man. This is top-notch pro stuff going on here, man. So I just love it, man. I love what LSU's doing, man. Big ups to the offense changing and moving and shaking and doing what they got to do. So, man, major league. Last, any other remaining thoughts you want to provide to the family before we leave here, Five?
No. Just to reiterate, we got to watch out for Mississippi and then take care of business at Auburn. We can do that. Circle our calendars for the nice exercise that Alabama demon and we off to the races.
Oh, no doubt about it, man. We're gonna do something bad here, man. We're gonna do it big, man. No doubt about it. So I'd like to thank all of the listeners of Tuff Tiger Talk today. We got some stuff accomplished here. We were able to cover LSU knocking off Florida 42-28. We got the revenge. We talked about the BCS Bowl as well. What it'll look like. LSU's going as high as 4th. That's what we both saying. Then we hit you with interviews from Coach O and Joey Burrow. Big ups to LSU and Tiger Nigger. So we'd like to thank y'all for watching, listening to the show today on Tuff Tiger Talk on the PRO Media Network. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Join the Tuff Tiger Talk Nation, man. We here every week talking about the Tigers, man. Please like and share the show as well. And I'd like to thank our contributor, Mazzi Five, for joining us. He'll be a frequent on the show as well. So thank all the nation, everybody out there for listening to Tuff Tiger Talk. From me and Mazzi Five, the PRO Media Network, thank y'all for joining us. Peace and go Tigers. HomeBistro.com. Freshly prepared, home delivered, restaurant quality gourmet meals delivered straight to your home. Choose from over 50 plus gourmet meal options cooked by world-class chefs and delivered frozen, ready to eat within minutes and no commitment. Welcome to the one-shop gourmet food delivery, specialized affordable options to eat right, and feel great. 100% satisfaction guaranteed. Every ingredient is handpicked to the highest standard. And why you should buy from homebistro.com? Restaurant quality made with natural ingredients delivered right to your door. Overnight shopping is available. Diabetic, paleo, heart health, and vegetarian options to eat. Doing business since 1999. Courteous, knowledgeable, and professional support. Complete PCI compliant SSL security ordering, and great meals. Choose from some of my favorite dishes: the Mediterranean chicken with orange honey sauce, the charbroiled chicken romesco, or the grilled chicken breast with sweet and spicy vegetables. No matter what you choose, you can't lose with homebistro.com. Eat great, feel good, and save some money with homebistro.com. Hit the link in the description section below for more information.
I'm a Saints and Pelicans fan, so the only podcast I can get my fix is The Sports Coma with Big Q. The guy's intense, funny, and they always keep it real.
Check out The Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys.
TheWhoThatDaily.com. That's right, TheWhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, and even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, TheWhoThatDaily.com is your site. TheWhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who That in all of us. Embrace Pet Insurance is more than just pet insurance. Embrace Pet Insurance promises to provide genuine support and certainty when your pet needs it the most. With personalized accident and illness policies, compassionate customer care, 24/7 access to veterinary professionals, flexible wellness plans, timely claims processing, and online customer portals, their values is what makes them Embrace. So, when selecting a pet insurance company as a partner in your pet's care, you deserve a company that has your pet's best interests at heart. Get top-rated and reviewed coverage for your pet today. Up to 90% back on bills at any vet, total protection, pet insurance and wellness, and dependable claims payments. Get the top-rated and reviewed coverage for your pet today. Go to EmbracePetInsurance.com. That's EmbracePetInsurance.com. Check the link in the description section below.
Are you a boxing fan? Check out Ring Kings Boxing only on the PRO Media Network.